didn't go too well. But I held up most of them. Hello, internet! Today I'm going to be doing my July and August book haul. I did not stick to my 5 book a month rule once again, because I haven't at all this year. In July I acquired 10 books and in August I acquired 8. But even though I haven't stuck to my rule, that's a lot less than I have been doing. So I'm getting better. Part of it's because I'm in a reading slump and so I'm having a hard time buying books because I'm not reading them. But, you know, progress. So I have 18 books to haul today, so I'm just going to jump into it. So, jumping back to July. I went on a road trip down to Texas to see some friends, and while I was there I went to Half Price Books because I love Half Price Books and we do not have that here in Tennessee. So I had to go to the one that I used to go to kind of sort of often. It wasn't super close to me, so I didn't go super often, but that was like the one that I went to because it was the closest one to me. You get the point. I bought a couple of books because Half Price Books. So the first book I bought was The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan, which is the second book in the Heroes of Olympus series. And I bought this because I just started the first book, and I have the first book in hardcover, and this was in hardcover, so I went and bought it. I'm probably going to read it soon. The Heroes of Olympus series is kind of about Roman mythology, whereas Percy Jackson's more Greek mythology. I'm looking forward to reading this soon, so I'm glad that I already own it, so that way I can pick it up whenever I want. And also at Half Price Books, I picked up a hardcover copy of To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, because I have heard pretty much nothing but good things about this contemporary series, and I like contemporary. I like YA contemporary. I like that it's diverse, and there's going to be a movie about it now. So at some point I will read it, even if I wait till closer to when the movie comes out. I know I'm going to read this now. So since it was in hardcover, I went ahead and picked it up because it was half price. So one of my friends in Texas got me a Barnes & Noble gift card as like a really, really late Christmas gift that never made its way to me. So I spent it while I was there. I got 3 books at Barnes & Noble. The first one was Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. I think it's about an overweight girl who competes in a beauty pageant. But I wanted to read, well, I wanted to read this. I wanted to read it for a long time, but also this works for Diversity Bingo, so I want to read it before the end of the year. So I went ahead and picked up a copy, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. The next book I got was Noteworthy by Riley Redgate, and this book is about a girl who cross-dresses as a boy to join the boys' a cappella group. And also she's bisexual, and I've heard that the representation's really good and that this is a really fun book. It sounds like a cross between Pitch Perfect and Glee, and I'm really excited to read it. It sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, yeah. And the last book I got at Barnes & Noble was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin O'Leary Signs. And this is a book I've been wanting to read pretty much since I discovered BookTube. This is some people's like favorite book, or one of their favorite books, and it's won like all these awards, and I've been really wanting to read it and I haven't yet, and I'm gonna read it soon. I'm gonna have to read it soon. I'm really excited about it. To be honest, I don't know a whole lot about what it's about other than the fact that Ari and Dante, I think, are in a romantic relationship, and the audiobook is narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda, so I'm going to be picking this up soon, I think. Next, I have Because You Love to Hate Me, which is an anthology about villains, edited by Amory, and it's 13 different stories written by 13 different authors who collaborated with 13 different booktubers. I'd be surprised, considering we're on BookTube right now, if you have not heard of it yet. I'm actually currently reading this one, and some of the stories are really good. Some of them I haven't been as crazy about, but some of them have been really good, but I'm only halfway through, so we'll see. But I had to get this to support everybody because I love most of these booktubers and I love a lot of these authors because there's some really, really great authors in here, like Renee Audier and Marissa Meyer and Adam Silvera and Victoria Schwab and others, and so I had to get it, and I actually pre-ordered it so that way I could get the pre-order campaign stuff. So I got a signed book plate from Amory, as well as a little notepad and pencil for Because You Love to Hate Me. So that was kind of cool. The next book I have was kind of an impulse buy, and that book is The One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr. And I picked this up at Target because I've heard so many good things about it. And it's about a girl, I'm not sure if she has amnesia or like what kind of specific mental illness she has that makes her forget things. But for some reason she does have one memory that she can remember, and I think that it's a kiss, and so she's trying to figure out why that memory is significant and why she can remember that and what does that mean. It sounds intriguing. I've heard really good things about it, and since Target had the paperback version because it was part of their Target book club pick thing, I went ahead and picked it up because it was pretty cheap and I was there and it seemed like a good idea at the time. You know. Next I have my July Owlcrate book, which was The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. And so this is an Owlcrate exclusive cover, so it's a bit different than the original. And I've already read this. It was fantastic. It's set in the 1700s. It's about this boy named Monty who's bisexual, which wasn't really a thing that was accepted back then. And he's going to take his grand tour of Europe before he starts to study with his father about how to run his estate. And he goes on this grand tour with his little sister Felicity and his best friend Percy, who he's in love with, and it's hilarious and it's so much fun, and I just really loved it. I talk more about it in my August wrap up because I read it in August, but yes, this book, really good. The next book I have is Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. And I don't really know a whole lot about the plot of this one, but I do know that it has to do with our main character who has purely obsessional OCD, and I think that this is Own Voices as well. But I've heard Emma from Emma Books talk about it a lot and how it's one of her favorite mental health books, and I was just at the bookstore one day and I decided to pick it up. So I did. And the last book I got in July was Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali. And I don't really know anything about this one other than it's an Own Voices book and I want to read it and I've heard pretty good things about it, so I bought it. And that's it for my July portion of this book haul. So now let's move into August. So in July I got really addicted to Hamilton. It finally happened. I finally got with the rest of society, and I was at the bookstore one day beginning of the month and I bought some Hamilton related books. So, oops. The first one was Alex and Eliza by Melissa De La Cruz, and this is a YA book about, I think, kind of the early romance between Alexander Hamilton and Elizabeth Schuyler. I know that there's not a whole lot that we factually know about their relationship, so not everything in a book like this is going to be historically accurate, but I'm curious to see what Melissa De La Cruz, what her interpretation of it is. I've heard some kind of mixed things about it, but you know, it's Hamilton and I want to read it because it's Hamilton, so yeah. Along that note, I also got The Hamilton Affair by Elizabeth Cobbs, and this is an adult book, and I think it's about kind of Alexander and Elizabeth's kind of entire life, I think. I'm a little more interested in this one than I am the other one, but I want to read them both because Hamilton. Next, I have The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a book I've been wanting to read, again, kind of since I discovered BookTube. I'm super intrigued by it. I don't know a whole lot about the plot other than there's kind of 4 boys that are the main characters and then a girl named Blue, and it's a YA fantasy, I think. I've heard amazing things about it, and I feel like a lot of people that I follow on BookTube that haven't read this series yet have been reading it recently, and it's been making me want to pick it up. So I bought it, so that way I could do that. I also picked up something that's very different for me, and that is The Gunslinger by Stephen King, which is the first book in the Dark Tower series. I have never read a Stephen King book. I don't like horror, which is primarily what he writes. But I'm intrigued by this one for some reason, and so I bought the first book. The first book's fairly short. I haven't read it yet, but I've been looking for a reason to get into a Stephen King book, and I kind of want to read this one, so I went ahead and got it. Next, I have my August Owlcrate book, which was The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones. And I don't really remember what this book was about. I read the synopsis when I did my Owlcrate unboxing video. I don't really remember what it was about. I remember it sounded interesting. I think I'm going to read it around Halloween. That's really all I remember thinking about it. But this is also an Owlcrate exclusive cover. We also had a second book in our Owlcrate in August, which was the Rock Paper Books version of Sleepy Hollow and Other Short Stories by Washington Irving. So again, I think I'm going to read this around Halloween. Alright, just 2 more books. I'm almost done. But one of my most anticipated books of the year came out this month, and there was an author signing and I had to work during it, so I pre-ordered the book from Parnassus, which is like my favorite bookstore, and they're the ones that always do all these signings. But if you pre-order a book through them and you ask for it to be signed, they'll make sure it is. So I pre-ordered Dress Codes for Small Towns by Courtney Stevens, and she signed it and personalized it for me, which was really awesome. I've been looking forward to this book since I went to CFS back in March, and she talked about it, and she described it as footloose with sexual fluidity. And a lot of people got ARCs for this and have said like phenomenal things about it, so I'm really excited to read it, and I'm glad I have my hands on it now. And the last book I actually got whenever I went to pick up my copy of Dress Codes for Small Towns at Parnassus, because another book that I was really excited about coming out was at Parnassus, and they had signed copies, so I just went ahead and got it while I was there. And that book is Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo, and there's where she signed it. I am not a big superhero person. It's never really been my thing, but I loved Wonder Woman, and I love Leigh Bardugo, so I want to read it. And since they had signed copies, I just went ahead and picked it up. So that is it for my July and August book haul. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, and which ones you think I should prioritize. That will be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.